Alright, puzzle number 4. It is time for balance and wisdom. Let's see what we're in for. Alright, so this one is quite a bit more complex than the previous 3, I would say. So let's begin by taking stock here. First off, let's see what our win condition is. So there's no stronghold or anything, there's just the commander. So obviously we need to kill him. Given that, what other enemies are important here? These two are blocking this knight, which means we need to get rid of at least one of them. This knight is being blocked by these two, so those two are important. This swordsman is kind of in the way of our guys down here. May or may not be important. This guy is not blocking anything. He's not important, and these two are clearly don't matter. So these 5 units here are the ones we may need to take out. And then let's take inventory of what we've got on our side. So we've got a ranger. Now rangers crit when they fire without moving. So for instance, if we fired from here, we'd do 65. If we fire from where we are, we'll do 88. So that's a big bonus. And that guy is in range to attack these two. He cannot crit the pikeman, he can crit the swordsman, or cannot one-shot the pikeman, he can one-shot the swordsman. So that's good to know. Then we've got this knight, who, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Could crit from either of these spaces. Well, actually could only crit from this space. And the reason I say that is the crit condition for the knight is kind of complicated. It's very specific, so it needs to be when it's 6 moves away, that 6 moves away needs to be by the most direct path. So like here, if we go to the top, that's like the shortest linear path we can take to get there, ignoring the terrain. But if we tried to go to the bottom, then as you see, we went up 2 and we went down 1, whereas it would have been shorter to just go through here, because then we're just going over and up 1. So this path would kind of turn back on itself, so it would not count for a crit to go here, because it would calculate it as this path, which is not 6. So actually this knight needs to go here in order to crit the commander, and we probably want that because, again, knights do a lot of damage to commanders. This knight needs to... So again, we need to get rid of one of these guys. If we get rid of the pikeman, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, he could crit from here or here. If we get rid of the ranger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, he could crit from here. And again, for the same reason, he could not crit from here, because that would be going down and then back up again. So it would not be a direct path. So this knight can crit from the bottom, this knight can crit from the top. That's important to know. And then we've got some mages here, who again crit when their defense is 3 or higher. We've got the trebuchet, which crits when... It's okay, so this one also has a caveat. It says it crits when it's at max range, but when there's weather involved, that actually becomes deceptive, because its normal maximum range is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it would crit this guy, because he's 5 away. But when weather's involved, the max range of the trebuchet can lower or raise, and that's when you'll find that this crit description is inaccurate. It's not actually its max range. It crits when the target is 5 or more away from the trebuchet. But we don't have weather here, so that's just a caveat for another time. So this trebuchet, we can hit either of these swordsmen and it'll one-shot either one of them. Then we have Emmerich, and his power is that he deploys this magic crystal, and it gives a defense bonus to all the friendly units near to the crystal. And that defense bonus is 3. And the range of the crystal is also 3. So it's a pretty big area. Now, normally we wouldn't care about defense on these puzzles because taking damage doesn't really matter for us, since there's only one turn in play. But, again, if you recall, the crit for mages is when their defense is 3 or above, which means whenever they're in range of that crystal, no matter what terrain type they're on, they will crit. So, that's a pretty big deal. Particularly because Emmerich is only in range of this swordsman, so all he could do other than deploying his groove is one-shot this swordsman. Which, while that seems like a good move, it would be at the cost of... The alternative would be that we could make both of these mages do 50% extra damage. So we'll have to see which one's going to be more useful. So, assuming that we can get rid of these guys, the ranger could get in range to hit the commander. The knight could get in range to hit the commander. These mages could possibly hit the commander. The dog as well, which I forgot to mention. The dogs crit when there's another dog next to the target. So unfortunately, since we only have one dog, there's no way to get a critical hit from the dog in this puzzle. This guy can reach... So basically, everybody but the trebuchet could potentially reach the commander. So our treb's going to take out one of these two. And then we... So let's say that we wanted the ranger to hit the commander. We would have to get rid of this pikeman, because this is the only spot the ranger could hit him from. So how could we get rid of that pikeman? Well, the knight can't do it. In fact, even if we use the trebuchet to get rid of this swordsman, and the knight could attack the pikeman, it still wouldn't be able to kill the pikeman. Even if it could get a crit on the pikeman, it would not kill it in one hit. So the knight can't do that for us. And the only other unit that is possibly in range of that pikeman is this mage. If the swordsman were out of the way, he could attack from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he would not be able to one-shot it unless he got a critical hit. Which means he'd not be able to get rid of that pikeman unless Emmerich used his groove to get that crit to happen. And that pikeman is also blocking our knight. So if we want either one of these two units to attack the commander, that pikeman needs to go. Now, in order to get rid of that pikeman, we would have to use Emmerich's groove and get the mage to attack the pikeman. And for the mage to get up there, the swordsman would need to be gone, so we need to have one of these 3 units take out the pikeman, or the swordsman, sorry. This mage could do it if he was also critting, or the trebuchet could do it. So let's say we took out the swordsman with one of those two, we had the mage go up and crit that pikeman, then one of these 2 units, assuming we could get rid of the swordsman, one of these 2 units could attack the commander. But not both, because in order for the knight to attack the commander, we'd also need to get rid of the swordsman, which would have to be done by the ranger. He's the only other one that could do it. So, we could have the ranger take out the swordsman and the knight goes. Or we could leave the knight where he is, and the ranger goes. So which one would do more damage? Well, rangers do really bad damage to commanders. He'd do 5%. The knight does 5 times more. So let's say we're going to have the knight attack the commander. That seems like a good way to go. So we've basically set up everything we'd need to do to make that happen. We would have one of these two take out the swordsman. We'd have Emmerich put the crystal down. The mage would kill the pikeman. The archer would kill the swordsman here, and the knight could go here and crit the commander. Now, that's a lot of stuff to make happen so that this one knight can attack the commander. So we have to ask ourselves, would that be better, or would it be better to just ignore these 2 units? Really, well, yeah, these 2 units, and just have the mage attack the commander directly, maybe? Well, the mage would do 20, whereas the knight would be doing 25. And we would not be able to have... I mean, both of these mages could attack. This one could attack from the right side, and this one could attack from the bottom. But if we use this mage to attack the commander, then we're saying that this knight will not get to the commander. Because the dog cannot one-shot the ranger. The mage could if he critted. So this mage is our only chance for this knight to attack. So the way that this boils down is on the left side and on the right side, we have the choice between the mage attacking or the knight attacking. And the knight does more damage. So the end result is we want to get both of these knights to the commander. And then hopefully our dog will not be needed for anything else and can help finish him off. So we've figured out how we're going to get this knight. Let's figure out how do we get the left knight there. So we can kill either the pikeman or the ranger. This mage is in range of both. So it's basically just going to come down to which position can he critically hit from. Except that we also know that we need to get the knight to attack from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, it would work for either of those. So let's get rid of this guy with the trebuchet. Clear the path for this mage to go up there. So we know that Emmerich's crystal needs to cover this tile, and it also needs to cover either this tile or this tile. So let's see here. So we could get it to cover this and that tile for both the pikemen to go down if we put it here. But that would also be blocking one tile that we can attack the commander from. And in fact, it would be blocking the tile that the knight needs to attack the commander from. So that is a no-go. That would defeat the purpose of doing this. So this is the lowest that our crystal could go while still covering that tile, and it does in fact cover this tile as well. So that is actually where we will want to put the crystal.
This should protect us.
You get him, Emmerich. So then we can use our mage to take out this pikeman. We can use our ranger to take out this swordsman. Our knight is now free to crit the commander. Then we can use this mage to clear the way for the other knight. This knight is now free to crit the commander. And the dog can attack from here to finish the job. And there you have it. A dead... What is his name? Treefinger? I don't remember what his name is. I'm pretty sure it's got tree in it. A dead tree guy. So yeah, that one took a lot more steps than the previous puzzles. And it's because we had a lot more units, we had a lot more units to get out of the way, we had a lot more options for how to do that. So it takes a lot more logical deduction to figure out which options are the ones we want to take. But again, just like the other ones, we worked through it by figuring out what are the units that matter, and then what units do we want to get to attack the commander, which ones will do the most damage out of the ones that can attack him. And then it's just a matter of how do we clear the way for those units. So, we ran through pretty much all the possibilities that made sense there, and figured out the one that would get the job done. Being as we're newly balanced and wizened, let's move on to puzzle number 5.